For the last time, here within the walls of the ancient Star Fort, the old Hara kings first made themselves impregnable, and many are the legends that surrounded them, since times when forth from the sunlight the first of our kings came down and had the earth for his footstool and wore the stars for his crown. Here in medieval Bundi, you will find the most magnificent of the palaces of India. Such a palace as men build in uneasy dreams, the work of goblins rather than of men. The Goblin Palace towers over the city of Bundi, which looks now exactly as it did when it was built in 1300. 400 years ago, one of the Hara kings was deposed and exiled by his two scheming brothers. He died far from Bundi, but his teenage son returned to pay his respects to his wicked uncles. He was passed through the massive elephant gate by the old king's bodyguard, who was still loyal to him. At the gate he passed the water clock, a copper bowl which sinks at the Hindu hour, and the keeper of the clock whose only function is to strike the gong, though the only ears to hear today are those of the ghosts of the wicked uncles. Beyond the gate, he climbed to where they sat in the great throne room, attended only by the guards, a regiment of whom had been brought from Afghanistan in 1600. Now only 10 descendants of these ancient fighting men remain in Bundi. Their sole duty is to guard the long-since empty throne, and it was before this same throne that the young man took his revenge. Loyal followers, joined by the guards, slaughtered those who had backed the traitors. They carried their victims to the edge of the towering ramparts and threw them down to the cobblestones below. High over the city, you will find the remains of an old garden. Who knows how many secret places such as this are to be found in the palace? All palaces in India, even the dead ones like Bundi, are full of eyes. In some, the idea of being watched is stronger than in others. In Bundi, it is overpowering. Beyond the garden lies an open room in which is painted the history of Bundi and priceless illustrations of the great epics of the Hindu faith. Humor and sensuality play their part in the old tales, like the story of Lord Krishna, who stole the clothes of the milkmaids and hid them in a tree while they were swimming, tantalizingly out of reach. There are paintings of the Rajput princesses, renowned for their honor, and of the old kings of Bundi, the Haras, and their courtship of these beautiful maidens. Nowhere else in the world was there such a romantic sense of chivalry. The history of Bundi is a history of convenience. First, the giant Star Fort. Then, as the strength of the Haras was proved, they moved down from their mountain top, and you could believe that nothing was impossible for the men that built the Goblin Palace. Later again, they moved to the foot of the gorge, to the Pearl Palace in the city. Finally, 70 years ago, the Maharajas of Bundi left their walled city and built the Lake Palace nearby, a dream of luxury and ease. It's been a long passage since the first of these kings came down, but if you travel to far-off Bundi, you may be lucky enough to find the last of them. He is something of a hermit, as elusive as the tigers in the wildlife sanctuary whose preservation is the only thing he lives for. Modern India is finding her own solutions to the age-old problems of those who have and those who have not, and the sun has finally set for the Maharajas and for their way of life. But if you travel to India, you can at least see what used to be in this land, whose children descended from the sun, and learn for yourself the sweet, sad stories of the death of kings.